This is still Good Morning Abuja coming to you from the Unity Station, NTA Channel 5 Abuja, and I am on to my conversation on the program. Yes, I'm sure you'll be looking forward to this part of the program. Okay, who do I have with me today? I have Dr. Tina Orode King. She is the CEO Kiajer Youth Empowerment Initiative, and together we'll be talking about child education. Welcome to the program, ma'am.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah,
It's good
like
to be here.
yeah, when we're talking about child education and they're looking at you, you look like, should I say, under 16? Really,
Really?
really young and bubbling. So
Oh,
welcome to
wow.
the
Thank you
program.
very much.
I'm
We
sure the
appreciate
secret
being here.
behind it is,
Yes, yes,
peace.
is peace and the work I do.
Wow, wow,
Yes.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Thank you.
Welcome to the program,
Thank you.
and I'm sure we'll have a wonderful time. Okay, so I want to know, what do we mean by child education in today's society?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's good to be here once again,
Mm,
and I appreciate the opportunity. In today's society, child education, education is a fundamental right
yeah.
of children.
Okay.
Yes, they, it cannot be negotiated.
Mm,
In today's society, regardless of how we define it,
mm.
it must remain every child is
Must be
entitled to
education.
receive
Education.
education.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so why is early childhood education very important?
Children are the future,
Mm,
our future.
mm,
We recently had an International Child's Day or
mm.
International Children's
Children's
Day,
Day.
and we organized a program
Mm.
with some secondary school students in our office, and allow them to come and take over what we do
Oh, really?
for a
For
whole
24
day.
hours?
Yes,
Oh, really?
yes, and that was an awesome. I saw smart kids. I saw
Wow.
intelligent kids.
Wow.
You know, uh, this is our future.
Mm.
And one of them even quoted Mandela and said,
Wow.
and we are not just today's we are not for tomorrow. We're not for the future generations. We are for
No.
today's generation.
Mm.
So that just like encouraged me. I said, look at our children. They even know their stems.
Mm.
So there's no other way
Mm.
but to put our children first.
Yeah.
In
Mm.
order to build our nation for tomorrow.
Wow, that's a
Yeah,
good one.
yeah.
Okay, so at what age should formal education ideally begin for a child?
I believe the sooner the better.
Okay.
And education should even start when the child is in the mother's womb.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
yes, by the mother talking to the baby.
Okay.
Yes, I did a lot of that.
Wow.
Yeah, I have two children by the grace
Wow.
of God. My
Wow. That's
oldest
a
is
good one.
36, my youngest is
Wow.
31.
Wow.
Yes, and when I was pregnant with my kids, I
Mm.
was talking to them while they were in the womb. I
Mm.
was counting ABC and one,
Mm.
two, three.
Mm.
And when they popped out, they continue to learn.
Wow.
It does not education should not define the location where we are.
Mm.
Child education should not define the location where we are. It
Exactly.
should be defined by who we are and what do we want our future and our children's future to become.
Okay.
So yes, so it should begin from conception.
Okay. So
That's the way I feel.
okay. So now talking about conception, it has to do with the parents, right? So
Yes,
what role do
correct.
parents play in a child's education?
Oh, that is vital. You know
Mm.
what they say about charity begins
Begins
at
at
home.
home.
Yeah. So, a child, a parent, particularly, and
Mother.
mothers,
I was going to say that.
everything is weighed on
Mother.
mothers because they spend most of the day with their children.
Imagine you
Yes. So,
carrying the child alone for, and then at that
yes,
stage you are beginning to teach the
yes.
child already.
Yes.
Okay.
So our children and the mothers
Mm.
should be very involved. Fathers should be
Me
involved too.
too.
No matter, I know they work a lot,
Mm.
to provide them food on the table.
Mm.
And nonetheless, there has to be that time of engagement
For the
with the
family.
children.
Mm.
And then we can even say that at some point, not every mother or every parent
Mm.
live in a more advanced, like in a sub in a sub in a urban area.
Okay.
There are mothers that really cannot read. or
Mm.
right, like our parents in the village.
Mm.
We should have that support system
Okay.
within their community in the village
Okay.
to help nurture those children with them.
Okay. That's looking at it now.
Yes,
Esha, when you talked about the communities where maybe the parents cannot read or write,
yes,
is it now for actually the parent to look out for, because some would say I did not go to school but I want my child to actually go to school,
correct.
and they make effort to actually do that.
Yes.
So how, or where should I say, where should they get the support from?
They may be living in the village or in the interior, that they themselves did not receive that education, but
Mm,
their willingness and their good intentions for their children to receive what they didn't get,
mm,
should motivate them
okay.
to, reach out to the community.
Mm,
Even if it is a 10-year-old or 12-year-old girl,
mm,
that can read and write.
mm,
Please help me teach my little son.
exactly.
So it takes a village to
Mm,
raise a child.
child,
Yes.
wow.
So yes. So it's a community
Mm,
activity as well.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. So can how does the home environment affect a child's learning ability?
Hmm. In our society,
Mm,
our society, we are very, very aggressive
mm,
in everything we do.
mm,
And that aggression is sometimes, channeled between parents within the home environment.
mm,
You know, it's imperative for parents, mother and father, to understand that they are raising innocent children
mm.
in their home, in terms of verbal argument
Okay.
and wrong communication,
Yeah.
or even maybe domestic violence
Okay.
against either party, whether
Mm.
towards the woman or towards the
The
man.
man.
Those are things that our husbands and wives should be very cognizant of.
Mm.
We should know not to expose our children to that kind of
Mm.
aggression,
Okay.
right? And that's part of education too.
Mm.
Teaching, because you live in a village or in the city, you must know how to love your child. That's a child that the two of you put together,
Mm.
by the grace of God,
Mm.
to bring to
Mm.
this world.
Mm.
So you have to give them what they deserve. They do not deserve that aggression. They do
Mm.
not deserve the negative attitude at home. They do not deserve to be here.
Mm.
So once they are here,
Mm.
do your best to give them the best
Okay.
of the home environment,
Okay.
because what they see in that home environment, they will extend to the world
Mm.
that
Mm. That's how
they,
they
they
relate to people
participate.
outside.
That's correct.
Wow.
That's correct.
Okay, so can children actually succeed academically without strong parental support?
I believe with God's help,
Mm.
with God's help, because there are parents, like we said at the initial part of this segment.
Mm.
Some parents, they don't have that education within them. They didn't receive it, but they have that willingness,
Mm.
for their children to do better.
Yeah.
So yes, the children can succeed,
Okay.
if they have tenacious parents,
Mm.
and the willing heart to do it.
Mm.
They can succeed.
Okay.
Yeah, children don't have to live in a wealthy home or
Mm.
wealthy environment to succeed.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it depends on the
The
individuals.
individual.
Yes.
Okay. So, what qualities make a good teacher for children? What qualities?
Qualities for a good teacher? Oh, well, that is up to the hiring process to determine.
Oh,
That
really?
yes, when you're hiring a teacher, you must make sure,
Okay.
we don't just hire somebody because that's my sister, or that's my
Okay.
relative, or
Okay.
that's my brother.
Mm.
Yeah, and you must know that you must believe that they have the love for children.
Exactly.
You know,
I was going to say
absolutely.
someone that works with children should have a lot of like
Yes,
patience.
patience with children. First you have to love them. You don't love only your own children.
Mm.
You must have that passion to want to be around them.
Mm.
Like the work I do with Kiajer Youth Empowerment Initiative,
Okay.
naturally love children.
Mm.
I naturally love youth.
Okay.
That's why I have them around me.
Mm.
So if you want to be in that kind of environment to teach them, they don't just want your knowledge to come and impact in them.
Mm.
They want that personal relationship because you are their daddy or their mommy from
There,
home.
yeah.
So you have to show that that intention of I'm here for you,
Mm,
you know,
mm.
and whatever you are struggling with, whether it's your courses or your subjects,
Even the
if
home
even
sometimes.
the home,
Yeah.
communicate with me. I am
Mm,
your friend,
mm,
you know.
mm.
Yes. So yeah.
Okay, so we have cases where maybe the child refuses to go to school, like I don't like that teacher, or I don't know if it's something they should be able to follow up, because the child should be willing,
Mm,
like happy to go to school.
of
So
course.
what if the child is talking about a particular teacher? What should be done in that instance? Like the child is refusing to go to because a
So
particular
if
teacher.
it depends. A child could refuse to go to school either because of the teacher said,
Mm,
you know, then the parent should investigate.
okay.
A child she'll be reluctant to could be reluctant to go to school
Mm,
because they don't like the school environment. They
okay.
also could be reluctant to go to school because they have been bullied in school. So
Mm,
there are many
okay.
factors for to a child refusing to go to school. So
Mm,
it's up to the parents to investigate that,
oh, okay.
and then address it through the proper channel.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So, how important is the relationship between teachers and pupils? Because, um, like you said earlier, the hiring process,
Mhm.
it should actually be this way. So, there are some things that should look at. So, what's actually the relation? What's this supposed to look like between the teacher and the pupil?
It's supposed to look like you are my parent away from home,
Hmm.
or you are my big brother or big sister away
Away
from
from home.
home. That's it. There
Right.
has to be a relationship. If there is no relationship, between a teacher and a pupil or a
Mm,
student,
mm,
it tends to foster fear in the child.
okay.
If you are such a strict teacher or a not just strict, but not nice. Let me
Mm,
put it in that
mm,
way. Not too nice a teacher to a
mm,
student. You make them withdraw. Children are very sensitive human beings.
exactly.
They are smarter than we are.
Mm,
I can tell you that.
mm.
And if you don't like them, they will know
They know
before anyone
immediately.
else knows.
Yeah.
So, so with that kind of feeling, they start to, withdraw from
Mm,
that teacher.
mm.
And then, which means they are not gaining anything that teacher
Anything.
is teaching in
Okay.
class.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that all that needs to be discussed, talked about. Parents should, have that relationship with the teachers,
Okay.
so that when that child is undergoing some kind of withdrawal, the parents should be able to step forward and go, yes,
What if the teacher refuses to even recognize that a child is withdrawn?
it's,
Because out of should I say negligence, some
yes.
of them might decide to just, after all, he is writing, or after all, but they don't remember or realize that this is not how the child used to be before. So what happens then? Because the report might not even get to the parents to be
Mhm.
able to work on this. So what happens in that scenario?
Are you talking about in terms of a teacher?
Yes, a teacher not realizing that her pupil is
Okay.
actually withdrawing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so what happens? Because now it's for the parents to either step in
Yeah.
to do the
When
needful.
when the teacher doesn't realize that what he or she is doing
Mm,
is negatively affecting the
affect the
child,
child.
that's when the parents should come.
Okay.
Right from the time that parents enroll that child in that school,
Mm,
should have a relationship with the teacher, the
yeah.
principal,
Okay.
and other parents association within the school
Okay.
system.
Okay.
So they are able to address things in case negative things come up.
Okay.
And we must also don't only address negative things.
Mm,
When a teacher is doing well and acting positively towards a student,
mm.
the parents should also send a note or maybe pack a little puff
Okay.
and send to the teacher,
Okay.
and said,
So
thank you for what you are
they are
doing with
doing.
my child.
Yeah.
So we should not always focus on the negative. We
Okay.
should always
Also,
balance with the positive.
oh, that's a good one. I was going to
Yes.
say, like for the other one, they will see that, okay, I want you to put your eye on my child.
My
That's
child.
what some
Yeah,
other
yeah, they
parents will
do.
feel like. Like
Yeah.
if you give gifts or something, they see it as you trying to either, should I call it bribe? Not bribe, but like, but I feel it's like a form of appreciation.
Appreciation.
Yeah, but some
Yes.
people look at it the other way. I'm
No,
like, well,
no, it's not bribe.
it's not okay.
In our society, we should learn to appreciate. Even
Appreciate.
in the U.S. where my children were born,
Mm,
I do when my child come home and say, "Look at what my my teacher did for me today.
Okay,
And if it's
okay.
positive,
Mm,
I send either a note
mm.
or I just bake something, maybe a
Okay.
cupcake or
Homemade.
something, take it to
Wow.
Mrs. Whoever or
Just to
Miss.
appreciate.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
that's
it. No bribery.
oh.
Yes.
Okay, so what are the challenges facing teachers in child education today?
Okay, that's like I said, challenges that faces children could be tantamount or similar to what the teacher faces.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it could also be a rebellious child,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
what is causing that child to be rebellious could
Hmm.
be something from home, or community environment.
Hmm.
So it, it, it could mean also maybe the salary the teacher is receiving.
Receiving.
I'm not getting much, so why should I give my best?
Hmm. Hmm.
Which I don't think should. Before the teacher accepted the job,
Hmm.
they were aware of
The pay. Yeah.
that pay,
Hmm.
so they should not let that affect their function within that school environment.
Okay.
It could also mean insecurity.
Hmm.
A teacher could be afraid. I hope tomorrow going to school not going to be my last day in
Yeah,
school.
exactly.
So there are many things that could deter a teacher or make them feel reluctant
Okay.
not to want to go to school. But whatever it is, as long as they are communicating, expressing it,
Hmm.
and parents teacher association should learn to address those things.
Hmm.
If it has to do with insecurity, local government council
Hmm.
and state government should learn to address that in
Okay.
order to bring about change
Hmm.
to that environment. Yes,
Oh, wow.
because teaching should be a teaching environment, or a school environment should be a healthy environment
Environment.
for both teachers and pupils. Yeah,
Okay, that's a good one.
yeah.
Okay, so but we want to go on this short break, and when we return, the program will definitely continue. We've been speaking with Dr. Tina Orode King. She is the CEO, Kiajer Youth Empowerment Initiative, and together we've been talking about child education. And in case you missed, don't worry. After the break, we'll continue with our conversation. Welcome back. This is still Good Morning Abuja, coming to you from the Unity Station, NTA Channel 5 Abuja. And yes, I still have my beautiful, pretty, I call her young sister guest seated. Okay, so we've been talking about child education, and she has told us a whole lot. So if you missed her, don't worry. We still have her here to continue on our conversation. So now
Mm.
we're talking about child education,
Yes.
and then now we want to look at the common problems facing or affecting child education in our society? What are those common problems?
Yeah, we're just going to repeat what we said in the first segment.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Now it's like a summary
So
and even maybe
yes,
more. Yeah.
yes, wonderful. Thank you for that. Yeah, child education, our problem.
Hmm.
Lack of It could be lack of home support,
Okay.
or a lack of um, the school environment, the standard of the school
I was
environment.
going to say,
Yes,
but I'll
yes,
let you go.
yeah, and
Okay.
it also could also be a misalignment between the students and the teacher,
Okay.
right? And
Okay.
these are issues that we, as a community,
Mm.
need to address,
Mm.
not just the school community, but the community of families where
Okay.
the child is growing up.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
whatever the situation is.
so
Yeah.
when we talk about standard, the standard now sometimes out of maybe I've not gotten another job, I can just decide to teach in one private school. Now this is without having maybe should I say an education as certificate. Like I think at least you should have like an NTA or something to
Correct.
actually be able, because at the end of the day there are some things that you need to know to be able to, especially children from kindergarten, primary, and maybe the first years of junior secondary, because they are watching and they actually deal with emotions. So at this point, when you talk of standard, what should be the standard of hiring teachers? Because I think it goes from there, and then maybe the standard of the school environment. I don't know if there's something
Yes, standard of teachers is very
important.
important.
Okay.
That's yes. again, it must be a person who is ready and willing to be around children.
Mm.
And then that is number one. That should even be number before you even
Number one.
assess the education or the
Educational.
qualification.
Okay.
Make sure it's somebody who is passionate about
About
kids.
children.
Yes, and then you this next step would be, what's your education?
Okay.
Are you qualified to teach?
Mm.
And then if you're qualified to teach, not every teacher can teach every grade.
Mm.
Some
Mm.
teacher they have the qualification to teach maybe elementary school students,
Okay.
some secondary school, and some senior secondary school.
Mm.
So then you place them in the where they are well fitted,
Mm.
and then give them the good environment for them to be able to have that interaction and communication and learning
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
imparting of knowledge between and teachers and students.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, how does poverty affect access to quality education for children?
And poverty can be both ways. Poverty can affect children's education at home.
Mm.
That's why there I don't think everything is gloom and doom. I think of the 2025 initiative
Mm.
that was carried out by this current government,
Okay.
whereby they made quality education available to, I think, 1.5 million
Children.
children.
Mm.
Yes, and this was in concert with UNICEF.
Okay.
Yes, and which is very impressive.
Mm.
And in addition, we can scale that up by ensuring that this quality education is also granted to marginalized
Mhm.
kids
Okay.
and maybe children in mostly in the northern states.
Okay.
They are mostly marginalized, if you
Okay.
ask me, and then children in poor homes,
Okay.
where parents cannot.
Afford.
Actually, education should be made free.
Free.
Public school in particular,
Mm.
that a parent should not have to think or sweat,
For school fees.
for school fees or
Mm.
for whatever
Materials in school.
extra fees. It
Mm.
should be made free education,
Mm.
from at least elementary school to senior secondary
Secondary.
school.
Wow.
That would be helpful.
Mm.
Then when the child is refusing to go to school, then you want to find out
Why?
what is the problem,
Mm.
because it's not like your parents didn't pay tuition. The
Mm.
education is free.
Mm.
So what's your problem? And let's
Exactly.
investigate.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, how can discipline be balanced with love in child upbringing?
Okay. That's a good one. Yes. And you can love your kids. I always say you can walk and chew gum at the same time,
Hmm.
like that saying. And you can always love your kids, but also know how to discipline them.
Hmm.
But don't discipline them to traumatize them.
Okay. Those are
you
two different things.
yes,
Okay.
there is discipline. Give a little spank, or a little, okay, time out.
Mm.
You are not, your favorite thing you love to do, you are not doing it the whole of today.
Okay.
you know then just let it be a simple discipline, and then at the end of the day, show love. So
Mm.
I hope you understand why I did that to you.
Mm.
It's because you did this. You are not supposed to be doing this.
Mm.
Please don't do this again,
Okay.
because if you do this again, the punishment might double.
Mm.
And I know you're a good girl. I know you're a good boy.
Mm.
And I know you love to listen to mommy and daddy. So please don't do this
Mhm.
again. So there is discipline, and then there is a show of love. But both can work hand in hand.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm talking about discipline. Should corporal punishment still be allowed in schools?
No. Even
Hmm.
though I went through it.
So was it not
No.
good
Yeah.
at the time you went through it?
It actually straightened
A lot of
us.
people,
Oh
yeah.
yes, oh yes, it did, it did.
So why are you against it
I'm
now?
against it because some teachers or school
Go
authorities
overboard.
could go overboard with it.
Mm.
Yes, and they could also implement it out of anger.
Oh
And
really?
when you implement a corporate punishment with anger, you could either harm the child physically or traumatize the child emotionally,
Mm.
and you don't want to, do either. So I think the best punishment in school would be, go and cut grass,
Okay.
or go and clean every desk in the classroom.
Hmm.
That's a good punishment for a child without having to give them
Corporal
corporal
punishment.
punishment.
Oh,
Yes,
really?
yes,
Okay, that
yeah,
sounds
yeah. You
fair.
punish them with, with things
We don't.
that, well, yes, when they feel embarrassed when their fellow students see them cleaning something.
Some
You know,
even
yeah,
tell you to like peek around the
pick
school.
around the school, yeah. I grew up in boarding school,
Mm,
and then, and as if I was a prefect, labor prefect
mm,
back then.
mm.
When my principal would be upset about, about something a student did, it
Mm.
will call labor prefect. He will say, I would like that student to cut grass throughout the school.
Wow.
Yes, a
They
good
can even give
portion.
you a
They
portion.
will give you a huge portion to
Portion
cut
to cut.
grass all afternoon. So yes,
You'll be under the sun sweating.
that's correct.
Wow.
So
And
yeah,
then you don't even want
yeah.
people to see
To
you
see
like
you, you are
you're
hiding
trying.
your face because,
Exactly.
yeah, because they're asking you, what did you do to
Okay.
deserve?
Okay, so
So yeah,
rounding up now, I want
yes,
to know what are the best ways to improve child education in Nigeria today?
give our students good environment to learn,
Mm.
give our students quality institution, give
Okay.
and quality teachers,
Mm.
and give them free education.
Oh. Okay.
If I were helping to make policies today,
Mm.
I would love to see a policy that grants student free education,
Mm.
and also rebuilding and renovating our school environment.
Wow.
Make it healthy for our
For our
students to
students.
learn.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
Okay. Like on that note, we've heard so much from you. We've
Thank you.
learned a lot, in fact, and then we know we'll have you here some other
I
time, like
appreciate
Oliver
it.
Twist. So, but
Right.
because
Thank
of
you.
time, we'll
Yeah.
have to let you go today to
No
come
problem.
back some other time. So, thank you
Thank
for
thank you
your
so
time on the
much. Thank you for
program.
having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate
so we've been talking with Dr. Tina Orode King. Yes, our latest Sweet 16. You see that, well, maybe she, because she's dealing with youth and children, like she's using, you looking all like smart and like you won't even believe like she's as old as she is. But well, she has told us a whole lot, and I'm sure you've been listening and learning from what she has said. So we need good education, good teachers, good learning environment, and best of all, our prayers, our wishes are for free education so
it.
everyone can be encouraged to actually learn.
Yes.